Each of the four men left in the race claims they'll stay the course until the party convention in the summer. But in the meantime, they've all amply demonstrated that no one is meaner to a politician than someone who claims to be on the safe side. In a moment, I'll be talking to the man who thought he could translate his pizza parlour experience into running the most powerful nation on earth, but was forced to bow out of the race.
Hey guys, I know we all voted for pizza.
Who says this pizza's the best?
Herman Cain was the early Republican pace setter who inspired the bumper sticker, "The pizza man always delivers."
Godfather's pizza.
And deliver in many ways Herman Cain did.
It's worth it.
After announcing his presidential candidacy in May last year, he quickly earned the accolade of most covered candidate in the race. His unorthodox tendencies had everything the media could ask for. Wacky viral ads.
We can take this country back.
Foreign policy stumbles.
And when they ask me who's the president of you Becky, Stan, I'm going to say, you know, I don't know. Do you know?
Even some impromptu singing.
Imagine there's no pizza.
But it was Herman Cain's folksy, Reagan-esque qualities that propelled him from successful businessman to the political front line.
It is a jobs plan.
His proposed 999 tax plan, along with his early debate performances, confirmed him as the Republican front-runner, and he briefly led President Obama in the polls. A stellar corporate record had made his name. Herman Cain famously grabbed the opportunity to turn around two floundering businesses. First, transforming the fortunes of 400 Burger King stores in Philadelphia from the least to the most profitable in the company, before saving Godfather's Pizza from bankruptcy. Initially, Cain managed to dismiss those who criticized his lack of political experience. He said, was part of the solution, and professional politicians part of the problem. But ultimately, uncomfortable allegations of sexual harassment tightened the noose around his campaign.
The charges and the accusations I absolutely reject. They simply didn't happen.
Finally, in December last year, off the back of sliding poll results, in spite of his numerous public denials of wrongdoing, Cain announced he was suspending his run for the presidency.
With a lot of prayer and soul searching, I am suspending my presidential campaign.
The godfather of common sense fell foul of what Thomas Jefferson dubbed the painful and thankless office, before even assuming the office himself, leaving others to fight it out for the White House.
Well, with us now, live from New York, in his first UK interview, is the former candidate for the Republican Party presidential nomination, Herman Cain. Did you enjoy your run out for the nomination, Mr. Cain?
Jeremy, yes, I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the best part was the interaction and the feedback and the response of the people. And secondly, their response to the bold solutions that I presented as part of my campaign. But I did enjoy it.
You sounded pretty bitter when you quit.
Well, I wasn't bitter. I was angry because the false accusations could not be proved. And how do you prove you didn't do something or that you weren't somewhere that someone says? The bottom line was it was my word against someone else, and they had absolutely no proof. That was the part that angered me. Now, I might add that I was going to stay in the race, but because of the coverage of the false accusations on the part of the media, it was causing undue pain on my wife and my family, and I made a decision, family first, rather than stay in and allow them to continue to present these accusations as if they were true when in fact they were not.
Why do you think you couldn't cut it in that race?
Au contraire, I did feel as if I could cut it in that race. I believe that my appeal to the American people was, number one, I proposed very common sense solutions to many of our problems. Secondly, I didn't speak in political speak. I had specific solutions. I cut it in the race. That wasn't the issue. The issue was the constant spinning and respinning of unfounded allegations that became a distraction not only to me and my campaign, but it became very painful to my family. And I wasn't going to continue to put them through that.
What did you make of things like, you know, your boast that you couldn't name the president of Uzbekistan? I mean, well, that was a pretty silly thing to do, wasn't it?
I don't think it was silly. I think it's silly to ask a candidate to know the head of every small country in the world without some reference. I was driving home a point, and that is, you don't have to be an international expert in order to be able to make the appropriate decisions once you have the right information, once you have the right intelligence information, and once you have an opportunity to analyze the situation. It is impossible, Jeremy, to answer thousands of hypothetical questions about hundreds of countries without knowing exactly what it is that you're supposed to talk about. I call those kind of questions gotcha questions, and I was simply driving home the point that I wasn't going to worry about not being able to answer gotcha questions.
But an American president has to know that sort of stuff, doesn't he?
Jeremy, you don't have to know the head of every state in the world before you become president. That was my point. Sure, you would need to know that if, number one, that was a relationship we were either trying to cultivate or we were trying to evaluate or analyze. But just to pick a random country and expect the candidate to know off the top of his head, I just think that that's a little bit unrealistic. And here's the thing, the American people agree with me.
When you say the American people agree with you, you also made a distinction in one of your comments about how there was a political class in your country, there was a media class in your country, and then there was the people. Can you amplify that?
Sure. The political establishment has a certain tendency as far as candidates that they would want to support. Secondly, the political class, and I mean just about everybody that's currently holding office in Washington, D.C., including the president, they really make decisions and make proposals to sustain the status quo. The media class are the people who cover politics, business, and everything else. They also sometimes are very biased in their coverage of stories, and they do what I call fly-spect everything you say as a candidate, especially if you get the lead in some of the primary results. And then the people are everyday normal people who are trying to take care of their family. They're trying to save for their kids' education. They want a job. They're working hard. And they basically see that in the United States, Washington is broken. It doesn't solve things. It continues to move problems down the road. And secondly, we have a serious financial challenge that right now they are not adequately addressing.
Sounds as if your system's pretty broke.
It is broken. That's the word that I used when I was describing it to someone. Because when you've got over a $16 trillion national debt, and over $5 trillion of that occurred within the last 3 years, we have a serious problem. We have a serious problem because we have to borrow from other countries in order to be able to just service the debt. And when you look at the fact that we are now spending $10 billion a day in order to be able to just to service the debt, we are broke and we have a serious financial issue.
Herman Cain, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you. Now, the employment minister has his work cut out.